Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 Twitter handle, as you can see, and I'm joined today by young Aidan MacDonald at Aidan C. MacDonald. His Twitter handle, Sean, is off on a week's holiday. Hope you're enjoying it. All the best, Sean. We'll see you when you get back. Now, Aidan, we will get to Sunday's debacle any minute now. But first and foremost, strapline along the bottom, guys. You know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to the Celtic Way and support top quality journalism covering the club you love. It's £1 for 2 months. You get access to all the pods and access to everything that's written on the website. Full access as well. Some wonderful stuff on there. You can join us, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Aidan, I was just saying to you off air, uncharted territory this season. It's an unhappy Monday. Celtic going down to a 2-0 defeat at St Mirren, their first league defeat in a year. First and foremost, Aidan, I'll just ask you your thoughts in general on the performance and the scoreline.
Yeah, in terms of the performance, it was a bit of a tough watch, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah.
We seemed to really struggle to create anything until the first major chance I can remember us having was Giakoumakis when he had that header.
Yep.
And yeah, that probably does reflect just what I'm going to say about the performance. Very stagnant, didn't really do a lot. Really, it was compared to the performance against Shakhtar away. I know we obviously maybe didn't get the result we were all hoping for in the Shakhtar game, but still it was a good enough point for the Champions League. I know a really good performance. You couldn't be too critical of how the players played that night, but you could definitely be critical of how they played yesterday.
Yeah, I think the grey kit apart, Celtic were well off colour, weren't they, Aidan? Let's be honest. Now, Ange Postecoglou made 6 changes, brought in a lot of players. Anthony Ralston came in, Welsh came in, Turnbull came in, Moy came in, and others. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people making a big noise of the fact that he made too many changes. Do you subscribe to that?
I think he might have made one or two too many. I mean, obviously, the Cameron Carter-Vickers and I think Juranovic was kind of forced on him, with obviously Vickers picking up an injury, and he said Juranovic has played a lot of games, so we can't really do anything about that, and they were 2 big individual misses, but I think he probably did make one or two too many, and I think the manager kind of reflected that himself after the game, saying, I think
he
it was
alluded to
it. Sorry, Tony.
I say he alluded to it, didn't he?
Yeah, something along the lines of if I've made too many changes, then that's on me. So I think he does kind of recognise that he might have just tinkered a wee bit too much. But when the starting lineup came out, I was still relatively confident we could get a result. So,
well, he made 9 changes when they beat Ross County 4-1 in the cup, and nobody batted an eyelid then. So you can't have it both ways, can you? That was a team on paper that should have been comfortable in beating St Mirren, but you have to say, and to be fair to Ange did credit St Mirren. St Mirren were terrific on the day. They hustled and they harried and they fought for everything, and they got their just desserts and just rewards. I don't think anybody can say that they did not deserve to win that game.
No, they were really, really good defensively, and they were clinical when they got their 2 chances. So I couldn't have any complaints with St Mirren walking away with the 3 points, I don't think.
The goals, Aidan, were you concerned about the concession of the goals? Aaron Moy out of position for the first one, and a couple of times could have won headers, which they didn't win headers. And I thought Curtis Main and Ayunga gave Yents and Welsh a torrid time of it yesterday. Just good old-fashioned centre-forward play, you have to say. But I thought the 2 defenders could have been a bit more robust, but just didn't handle it well enough.
Yeah, the 2 St Mirren forwards caused absolute havoc, and like you say, a lot of it was quite basic but effective centre forward play, and I think that was probably the frustrating thing for fans watching, and I'd imagine Ange Postecoglou as well. The first goal, obviously I know Aaron Moy's out of position. I believe the kind of it originally starts from just a big punt from the keeper, and there's headers missed, and then the ball's played in, and I think one of the centre forwards does quite well to just kind of hold Ralston out the way, and then cause Aaron Moy's out of position, back post, the guys get a free header. Joe Hart has no chance. Yeah, it was really frustrating because we'd also had a lot of possession up to that point. Hadn't really created anything, as we've already mentioned. but both goals were not a pretty sight to see, Tony, really.
David Bradley agrees, roughed us up and couldn't handle it. And the Retro Celtic says, yesterday proved that our squad isn't as good as we thought. Moyes isn't the only culprit. And we spoke about Moyes on Friday, didn't we? And days leading up to the game, lots of people saying he should be in from the start. And I think we all agreed that Moyes shouldn't be in from the start. On the basis of that evidence, I guess he's not done his case any good or strengthened it. But not writing any player off, as Andrew Gallia says there. We don't write players off, but just basically commenting on, observing what you watched yesterday. And it wasn't Moyes' game yesterday, but he wasn't alone, was he, Aidan, in it not being his day?
No, but he wasn't alone at all. And I know he's kind of been highlighted on a few sort of passing maps and graphics online as giving the ball away, which I know he did a few times, but I thought Cal McGregor was really losing possession. David Turnbull, and even when players like Jota and Rio Hatate came on, we were still struggling to string a pass together. So obviously Moy did struggle. The fact he was out of position for one of the goals probably leads to him getting a wee bit more criticism, but he was by far not the only one that struggled yesterday. And we're definitely not writing him off, like you said, Tony, because as much as we said we didn't know if he was going to start against St Mirren, me and you agreed that he does have tidy qualities. When he came on, he was kind of grown game by game. And I think we also agreed that if he did start, we wouldn't be too, annoyed about that. So
I think some perspectives needed here as well, Aidan. First league defeat in a day short of a full calendar year, and and some wonderful, entertaining, swashbuckling football played along the way. Now, Celtic weren't going to win for time and perpetual motion. A defeat was always coming along the way. I guess it's the nature of the team that has defeated them. Maybe that's a shock to some people, but if you don't turn up, you get what's coming to you. And Anne said it yesterday, you took the praise and the plaudits along the way, so you have to take the hits when they come. And I guess that's what's happened. Celtic have taken a hit yesterday, and sometimes people say, well, it can be a good thing, not getting a conceit of yourself. And we spoke about it. You have to earn the right to win football matches. Celtic didn't earn the right to win that football match yesterday. St Mirren did.
Yeah, St Mirren absolutely deserved it, as I've already mentioned, and I think it probably is maybe a wee bit of a wake-up call for the players. Not that I'm assuming they thought they were going to win every game, even though that's kind of roughly what I said on on Friday. So that's me cursed for the first time, I'd imagine, cursed us. But I hope it's just a wake-up call for the players. And the run's been excellent, since that Livingston game, undefeated, majority of those wins, a few draws in there. It's just the manner, isn't it? I mean, it's like you can't really compare it because it probably wasn't quite as dramatic, and obviously the win run wasn't as long. But with Brendan Rodgers, obviously when we lost to Hearts, kind of went down in style, and that was a bit of a kind of, can't believe that, even though we'd done so well. And I think after that, I remember some fans being quite critical, even though we just put a brilliant run together. So I think it's in the heat of the moment after you get beat. No one enjoys a defeat, but there's definitely a perspective, Tony. There's definitely.
Of course. And Indian Bone Singer comes in, Chris, boy from East Kilbride, that I know. Of course, we should win every game. However, it was a manner of defeat. Big medicine to swallow, hard as it was after a great Derby defeat or Derby win over Rangers before the international break. I think a lot of people took it as read that it would be a magnificent 7 out of 7, Aidan, before the international break. So I guess you've now got a couple of weeks to stew and reflect. And I asked Dan yesterday, would he want another game as soon as? And he said, well, we don't have another game, so. But he said he felt sorry for the fans first and foremost that Celtic never turned up. But these things happen. Bad days at the office happen. I've had plenty of them myself down the years, Aidan, so I'm still having them. But I'm still here after 25 years. So, yeah, you know what it's like.
I know you're not going to have a brilliant performance every day. I think it's just the manner of the performance into it was quite frustrating. Hopefully it's a one-off, Tony, and if you're going to have a game like this, so you're better to get it out of the way early in the season.
Now, you mentioned them earlier. Did Celtic miss Cameron Carter-Vickers and Josip Juranovic badly?
I think we did personally, just from the way I know we didn't concede a goal from a corner, but just the way we were kind of defending some of them was was not great, and I just feel if Carter-Vickers was there, he's a calming presence. He'll also pretty much win the majority of his headers as well. And I thought for the second goal, which came from a throw-in, didn't it? Long
Yeah, it
throw
did.
completely. The way that was defended, I know there was kind of maybe touch and go, but where the guy was offside, but it was quite hard for the ref to see. And I don't think we can kind of use that as a complaint. I think Carter-Vickers, the way that Wales try to win that ball, I don't know if Carter-Vickers would have 100% won it, but he definitely would have made it more of a challenge for the guy.
Contested it.
Yeah, and also I think Carter-Vickers' distribution from the back as well was slightly missed. I think he's a wee bit underrated for that. He can sometimes spray like a really good ball, like all the way up the pitch, or he can keep it kind of safe with good short passes as well. Because not that James and Welsh's distribution from the back was particularly bad yesterday, but sometimes there was the ball given away, and it's very rare you see Carter-Vickers doing that.
It was just a poor performance in every area, really, wasn't it? Nobody really kind of show. I mean, I actually thought Rio Hatate looked quite bright when he came on. Had a shot that the keeper saved, but it was kind of deflected. And, at least Haksabanovic got to the bow and threw in a couple of crosses, and Yakimakis got a couple of headers. If one of them go in, then you might have the kind of grandstand finish and stuff. But there was just something lacking, something missing, wasn't there, Aidan, yesterday?
Yeah, there was a lack of energy. I don't really know what it was, and I don't even mean a lack of energy as in they looked unfit, but just a sort of kind of willingness to get on the ball and go forward. Everything that we've kind of come to expect from an Ange team.
Yeah.
And like you say, it may be not that any of them were brilliant chances, but maybe if that Yakimakis header goes in, then you can chase it in for the last, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. But I don't think we would have deserved it anyway.
What can we learn from that, Aidan? What do you learn with these kind of defeats? You lick your wounds and you've got 2 weeks to, to lick them and stew off, and it's quite a frustrating time for the Celtic supporters. Obviously, the players and the manager as well will feel that, but can they learn from that defeat?
I mean, Ange, I'm sure, would probably say that you can learn from defeats. I would imagine that it's maybe just a wee wake-up call for some players that you're not going to be able to win every game, and you always need to be on it 100% no matter who you're playing, whether that's Real Madrid or St Mirren.
Yep.
Maybe for, not that we're in any position to tell Ange Postecoglou what to do, of course, but I think it might just be maybe the penny will drop for him that maybe the squad isn't as strong as you might have thought, and that he can't always make as many changes, maybe going forward. Obviously, like we say, 2 of those changes were forced on him, so there's a high chance that Carter-Vickers and Juranovic might have played if they didn't have their situations. But I think maybe just going forward, and he might think, right, maybe I can't make as many changes, potentially.
Casting your eye further forward then, Aidan, would you see Celtic then possibly doing some business in January as well?
I think even I should say before, I think even if we'd won yesterday, he'd be considering some players to bring in January just to kind of keep the squad ticking over. Because you don't know if players have good World Cups. Of course, there could be bids in January for players. I think there will be. I think we might look at another centre half potentially. Even if hopefully Carter-Vickers and Starfelt are back as soon as possible. Just as another one in there. Obviously, Welsh and James have had plenty of positive performances in the past. I'm not writing either one of them off, of course, but maybe just someone else, just another option. And I was going to say another potential 6, but obviously I'm forgetting about the boy we've got, Ruben Kazan. Yeah. So maybe he might be getting a run in the team, maybe going forward if he is wanting to play Callum McGregor further forward.
I'll throw this one to you. Alan Robertson comes in, Aidan. Is Kyogo above criticism? One of Kyogo's poorer games yesterday. He seemed to slip a couple of times as well when the ball came to him, and I don't know if he had the correct footwear on, but nothing came off for him yesterday, let's put it that way. But again, Kyogo wasn't alone in that, and just a frustrating day for quite a lot of players all round.
Yeah, no, Kyogo struggled. I mean, there was no kind of killer pass played in behind for him to run onto, and like you say, he did slip a few times. The only thing I can really remember Kyogo doing in the game was second half, him and Yakimakis had a wee 1-2 and it was flicked round and he get fouled by Declan Gallagher. So the fact that's the only kind of major moment you can remember does highlight, like you say, that it was one of his poorer games. But also, like you were mentioning, it wasn't just him. A lot of them struggled. Just we were saying how we're not going to pile on Aaron Moy too much because he did struggle, but a lot of the players did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some reaction because you have to be on social media, and I think a lot of it's a bit hysterical. Celtic lost a game. They were, they were on a good run. A loss you can't say was coming. You didn't see it coming. Maybe the nature of that just blindsided everybody, but St Mirren were well worth it. And as I say, you have to get some perspective in, and also people going studs up on the manager. I mean, I can't. I accept that everybody right to an opinion, but sometimes I, I shake my head and I think, wow, I mean, the manager, yeah, alluded to the fact that maybe he did make a lot of changes yesterday, maybe disrupted the momentum, the harmony, the rhythm, the spirit, call it what you like. There, John McCauley comes in, 81 possession, no shot on target until the 60th minute. Come on, Tony. We're not getting away from the fact that it was a poor performance, but we are analysing that. Celtic were poor yesterday. But, I mean, I can't join in this kind of bandwagon of, being hysterical about it. There is real perspective here. Celtic lost a league game for the first time in a year. I think that's no bad when you break it down, Aidan.
Yeah, no, the run's been excellent, and I think it is easy after the game when you're frustrated after the defeat. Supporters are frustrated after the way we played. It can be easy to just kind of dive in sometimes and be quite critical. But I think when you think about it, as I was thinking about it last night and then this morning before we came on air, you do need to put it in perspective of how good the run's been, while also maintaining that a performance like that isn't good enough. And if you have several of them across the season, it's going to make it tougher to achieve what you want to achieve. But the manager knows that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Kookaburra, yeah, but that's the point I'm making here, Kookaburra. Just because people criticise a bad performance, it doesn't make them hysterical. I'm not including you guys on here. You're all pretty calm about it. I was just talking about. I looked at social media last night, and there was a lot of hysterical reaction to it. I'm not accusing anybody, certainly on this platform, of being hysterical, but I say everybody is entitled to their opinion. I just think some perspective is needed. At times, Celtic were poor. Yeah, so the reason it kicked off on Twitter, sorry, the Retro Celtic, because we've been outstanding since the start of the season. Yeah, I get that. And I think everybody just expected another outstanding performance, and they didn't get it. But it is one bad game in 39? I think one bad game in 39.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Kevin Moyer agreed. It's only one bad game, we move on. Yeah, I mean, I think, I thought Celtic came up against a team that had a real game plan yesterday to sort Celtic out, and it worked. And Celtic had what every manager says when in the lead up to it, every opposition manager when they're playing Celtic, we need them to have a bit of an off day. Celtic had the mother of all off days, if you want to put it that way. Too many players were off for them. Regardless if you want to, dissect the team selection, where they're to, but they're still that team is still good enough to beat St Mirren 9 times out of 10. Yesterday was that 1 time out of 10 that they lost, and it happens. It happens. Even good teams have an off day. I mean, that's the beauty and part and parcel in the wonderful nature of football. Doesn't make it pleasant, dissecting it. But Celtic were poor yesterday, and there's no getting away from that.
Yeah, there's no way we can hide from how poor the performance was and how the players did struggle. You can't win every game, even during the Brendan Rodgers Invincible season, which is probably as good an example as you can see. There's going to be the odd draw in there and the odd frustrating performance. I remember one against Rangers, and I think there was a one with Partick Thistle as well, when Scott Sinclair missed a penalty. You aren't going to be able to be perfect all the time. But obviously fans are going to be frustrated because, as you're saying, Tony, nobody likes to lose. But I think there is a bit of perspective to be had. And the international break, obviously now there's time to work on things, and hopefully we'll come back out more when we play Motherwell in a couple of weeks.
The Retro Celtic says, absolutely, pity we've got the dreadful international break to get the result out of our system. Exactly. I think Ange would have killed for another game like the Tuesday or a Wednesday to get it out of the system. I think the supporters would have wanted that as well. 2 weeks is a long time, and you reflect, you over dissect things, and stuff begins to annoy you. I just think they have to just put it to bed, move on as quickly as they can, and get back to doing what they were doing. It didn't happen yesterday, that's fine, but there's plenty of times where it has happened, and they're in the position because of that. They're still 2 points clear at the top. I think, people were saying, they've undone, the good things that they did by beating Rangers. that people can argue the toss on that, but they're still top of the league. They've still had a wonderful start. If you look at it, I think most people will say, hopefully, that it's a blip. If it continues, then's the time to ask more serious questions, Aidan.
No, of course. If you have to go on a run where you don't win a few games, then you can definitely be a wee bit more critical. But it is a difficult one, because I do understand why people are frustrated, but then I also do understand why some people are thinking it is a bit over the top. I think without repeating myself too much, when you're a football fan and your team loses, you're always going to have a bit of an emotional reaction to what's happening, and it can be hard not to dive in and be too critical, and it also can be quite easy to just dive in and have a go at the players and the manager. But that's certainly not what we're doing.
Lovett comes in and says, Ange knew the break was coming, sorry, but he should have started with his strongest team. Again, going back to it, that's easy in hindsight, isn't it, Aidan, after you've lost the game? Now, you've mentioned that it could be in terms of a wake-up call. Don't know if that's too strong or not. And Alan Robertson coming in here and says, hopefully Abildgaard can get fit for the next PFSP Scottish Premiership game off the bench at least. Well, he's working on his fitness. He's got another couple of weeks to do that. That'll be interesting to see if he does feature moving forward. Aidan, won't it?
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. Some of his stats are excellent. He looks really good at being able to break up attacks, and I think he can also play as well. So it would be, if he is wanting, I don't know if maybe Andrew's considering wanting to play Callum McGregor a wee bit further forward. The fact that he did do that at the weekend, I know it might probably didn't necessarily work. In fact, Andrew obviously knew it didn't work, because before even half time, McGregor got put back and then Moy got put forward before Moy got subbed. But if he is wanting to do that, I think there's a chance we could see him come in so Callum McGregor can go a wee bit more forward.
Kookaburra says Abildgaard would have been tailor-made for that game. He would have allowed Calmac to play further forward. I agree with that. From what I'm reading about Abildgaard, that's probably the position and role that he's going to fill. And Andrew Gallia comes in and says, if Abildgaard is the answer at 6, then McGregor has to go further up the park than he did yesterday. And I agree with that too. I get back to it. Just there was so many players off form yesterday. Aidan, I think that's what it was down to. Not one or two, so many were off form, weren't they? You just can't legislate for that, can you?
Yeah, pretty much everybody struggled, to be honest. Like we've been saying that we can't really pick out anybody that done that well, except for maybe Rio Hitati and Haksabanovic had a couple of wee flashes when they came on, but even then it was quite brief, wasn't it? I think probably Callum McGregor's performance, not to pick on him too much individually, of course, but that probably did symbolise how poor the game was, the fact that he struggled, because he's always usually so reliable, and when you're seeing him giving the ball away, you're starting to think, oh God, what's going to happen here? And that kind of turned it to be right.
Microcosmic, I think, of Celtic's performance with Callum McGregor there. Anthony Gallagher coming in. We are all brilliant managers after 90 minutes. Yeah, I think we're just throwing our tuppence worth in there, Anthony, as you can as well. You give us your thoughts. None of us try and be the manager, although me and Aidan did and Sean did. In fact, myself and Aidan did by trying to second guess his starting 11, and nowhere near it. Maybe he should have started with the 11 that we picked, Aidan.
That was a shocker from us,
in hindsight, yeah. But then again, we picked the strongest team, didn't we? Well, we thought was the strongest team going into the international break. True, Anthony. I don't know if Retro Celtic's saying that to Anthony Gallagher or myself, probably Anthony Gallagher, that we're all 90-minute managers after the event. Yeah, but that's the whole point. That's why we do the pod, get a plethora of opinions, and none are right, none are wrong. Just we debate them as we go along. David Bradley, Calmac was very poor, agreeing with yourself, Aidan. Yeah, I think, as you say, when Calmac's off it, you worry, don't you? And for anybody wondering, Aidan's cleared this up. That's diluting juice he's drinking in the morning, not red wine or anything like that.
No, nothing.
We cleared it up the other day. So yeah, I've got to be honest. You've got to still be very positive about this Celtic team, Aidan. You can't be anything other than that. It's a blip. It's a bad day at the office. Now have 2 weeks to say to calm down and cool down, and it'll be a long 2 weeks, but they'll be back in the saddle soon enough, and I'm sure they'll get themselves back to winning ways. I've no qualms or queries or questions about that.
Oh no, and the thing is, the team response. Not that we're comparing this at all to the start of last season, I should say before I say what I want to say, but they've came back from blips before. You know, that start last season, a lot of people probably thought that was us out of the running for the title. We came storming back, and that was a much bigger so-called blip than this is. So the team's shown plenty of fight that they can do that before. We're all positive about the way Celtic have been playing recently up until that game yesterday. The performances have been excellent. Some of the individual play and also some of the team plays, as we were saying on Friday, some of the best I've personally seen. And I think even you were saying, Tony, it was some of the best you'd seen for a long time. So we're all extremely positive, and I'm sure we'll be back on the saddle when it comes to Motherwell in a couple of weeks.
Anthony Gallagher, I'm not critical to you guys. No, it didn't come across that way. I was just laughing at the comment. We are all kind of managers, as you say, Anthony. No, not at all. We don't take ourselves that seriously. We like to have a pop at ourselves on this show quite regularly. So no, comment away, Anthony. It's all good. It's all good. Here's Edward Y of Oz. May the force of Tony's wardrobe be with Ange. I think that's got to be the comment of the day, man. I love that.
That's got to be it.
It has to be, doesn't it? Edward Y of Oz. Drop us your email address and let us know. That's the comment of the day. You'll be getting into the draw. That's brilliant. The force of Tony's wardrobe. One day you will see in the wardrobe, guys, I promise. Somebody else noticed that I did move an Adidas box. That's right, because I lost to them. It's in the cupboard. So there you go. For those who are interested in the daily affairs of the wardrobe, Aidan, you know, they're an astute bunch, these guys, you know, they really are. But no, we do like that. With the force of Tony's wardrobe be with Ange. We hope that it's all gets sorted. We move on, Aidan. 2 weeks, Motherwell is the next game for Celtic. It'll be a long 2 weeks, won't it?
Yeah, it will be a long 2 weeks, probably particularly for the players that aren't away playing for our international teams such as Jota, etc. I know they'll probably maybe have a wee bit of time off, or they might not after that performance, to be fair. But yeah, it is going to be a long 2 weeks, and Ange will be stewing over that. He mentioned after the game, you know, the supporters are going to be sitting on that for a couple of weeks, and it hurts him as much as it hurts the fans. So yeah, hopefully for the players that are there, good kind of bit of time on the training pitch, work on iron out any kind of mistakes, etc. Hopefully we'll get a wee update on Juranovic and Carter-Vickers. I know obviously Carter-Vickers, I don't know if we're wanting to touch on this, Tony, but Carter-Vickers is out of the USA squad.
Yes, he is indeed.
That is obviously a blow for them as much as a blow for us, because it shows that if there was a game over the next couple of weeks, he probably wouldn't have been involved. So fingers crossed the big man's all right. Because
yes, hope it's not too much of a lingering effect, and he's out for a long time. Somebody made a comment here as well, which I quite liked. Why would Ange want an antique wardrobe? Indeed. Arthur Negus, for those of you of a certain age, can he give you a price for that? Old Antiques Roadshow presenter there, Arthur. But there you have it. Yeah, I do feel that, you know, there are things that can be worked on in training. Ange loves getting the guys on the training pitch anyway, but the fitness of Abildgaard is one of them, which and we've touched upon, that could benefit from the 2 week international break and come back, and you might see him feature, which would be a good thing in terms of possibly moving Callum McGregor further forward. Just interesting to see how that dynamic will work when he actually gets minutes on the pitch. Disappointing, Aidan. An unhappy Monday. We'll try to be as positive as we can, put a positive spin on it. Celtic are still top of the table by 2 points. That's the positive spin that you can put on it at this minute in time. Poor performance, bad day at the office, call it what you like. Celtic just failed to turn up against St Mirren. It happens. First time in 39 games, Aidan.
Exactly, I know. And if it's another 39 games till the next one, that'll be not too bad, Tony.
Indeed. And on that note, I'll say thank you to Aidan for your contribution today. Yes. Loved that. First class. And thank you to the guys who commented. Well done on the comment of the day. I like that. Can't you beat that, can you not?
That was a good one.
Yes, indeed. Featuring the wardrobe and Star Wars, one of my favourite go-to references for Celtic stuff as well. But there you go. And the retro Celtic, a positive note, still champions. There you go. And John, Celtic guy, comes in and says, "Listen, guys, every great team have to get beat at some point." Exactly. These things happen. Even the best teams suffer defeats. Not saying we're the best, but we're the best in the country at this minute in time. And they've taken a wee dunt or a wee hit, as Anne said. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again. Aidan, you joining me tomorrow?
I think I'm Wednesday. I'm on a Wednesday next door.
You're on Wednesday. Well, we'll see you on Wednesday. Well done, young man. Enjoy being on the pod with your good self. Always good chat. Guys, have a good Monday. If you can, try and make it a happy Monday as opposed to an unhappy one. It happens. Defeats come and go. Celtic will be back in the saddle soon enough. Motherwell in a couple of weeks. And we'll be here every day to look forward to that and talk about the club that you love. But in the meantime, if you've not subscribed already, please subscribe. Hit that button. You know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to the Celtic Way. Get full access to everything on the website and the YouTube podcasts like this. It's £1 for 2 months of full access, guys. You can join us. Hit the subscribe button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Take it easy and have a good day. Thank you, Aidan.
Cheers, Tony.